The Oklahoma Sooners running back position is looking really strong, looking really solid heading into 2024. What's the hierarchy look like? Who could be a big-time contributor? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On College Football Podcast. Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussion on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, thank you for subscribing to the show wherever you get your pod. Jay, the running back situation for the Oklahoma Sooners is looking really, really good. We've got a program, we've got a team that, I mean, you look at where it starts with Gavin Sawchuk and then maybe Jovantae Barnes, Taylor Tatum, Sam Franklin, who looked really good in spring. You got Xavier Robinson, and then you've got Andy Bass, who's injured, is going to be recovering. He'll medical redshirt this year. Where does running back start for you? What is the thought that you have when you start thinking about the running back position?
I think the biggest thing for me is not even, even ask the question about RB1 being solidified. It goes into RB2. Like, who's going to be the second guy on the field? Who's going to be potential third down back? Who's also going to be potential power back, right? We have multiple options this year because it looks like we're healthy, right? Jovantae Barnes was out there today at the practice, and you saw him moving around. Some of the insiders and the local media got to go watch a little bit. They put out some videos, and you got to see him move. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's kind of looking like Jovantae Barnes of Florida State. The one we were hyping up before, his entire freshman season. We're like, okay, this is going to be the dude that's probably going to be next in line. And so, all right, hopefully he gets healthy. So for me, it's that second position. Who's going to be there next to Gavin Sawchuk? Because we know Sawchuk's got it lined up. He's healthy right now, knock on wood. And he gave us those 5 straight games of 100 yards plus. So even with quote-unquote makeshift offensive lines, he made the magic happen. And so we asked this question of, what is Sawchuk going to is Sawchuk going to continue to hold on to that position? Is it going to be Barnes at number 2? Is Kalib Hicks going to take it? Sam Franklin, he transferred in for a reason, right? Who's all going to play? And then, of course, you go to the freshmen, which we can talk about them in just a minute. But I ask you, who do you think is going to be that number 2 dude that we will see going into, I'd say, Tennessee? Because I think the first 3 games is when we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning Kalib Hicks. That was an oversight on my part because that's a guy that's been running with the second team. And I think right now probably you're seeing Gavin Sawchuk, Jovantae Barnes getting a lot of the first team reps just because they're the veteran players. They've been around. Barnes just 2 years ago had over 500 yards rushing, emerged as the RB2 behind Eric Gray and looked really, really good. Again, he had 3 100-yard games. I want to say he had 5 games with more than 50 yards. Had a bunch of games with more than 10 carries. I think it was 4 games with more than 10 carries on the season in 2022. So a really, really productive runner. It's just that 2023 year, I mean, he just really got hindered by the injury bug. So I think, it's Gavin Sawchuk. I'm going to say it's Jovantae Barnes. And then I think you're looking at Kalib Hicks and Taylor Tatum as the next guys up for Oklahoma. Brent Venables spoke highly of Taylor Tatum, and they said he's going to be a guy that helps us. And they got to figure out ways to get him on the field. I thought this quote on Taylor Tatum was really, really interesting from Jackson Arnold when he met with the media on Tuesday. Jackson says, I thought he's been really good, and I think Taylor adds a unique passing element to our game. Whether you line him up in empty or do whatever, put him in the passing game, he's very versatile. He's definitely going to be a good option for us this year, sort of along those lines. So I think Taylor Tatum's going to have a role, even though he just arrived in the summer. Everybody's been very complimentary of what the work has been looking like with Taylor Tatum. Obviously, right. He was the number 1 running back in the 2024 cycle for a reason. He's real good. So I think you'll see him a lot.
Yeah, and mentioning that coming out the backfield, I know that in some Seth Littrell offensive sets, he's thrown out there 2 running backs, right? So how intriguing would it be to have a Taylor Tatum in the backfield next to a Gavin Sawchuk or Jovantae Barnes, and then you go ahead and motion him out there to be the wide receiver, and that linebacker's following him, he don't know what to do. Because Tatum's a 4'4", 40 guy, right? So he's fast. So he's going to get out there, be able to outrun the linebacker as they cross everybody around him, and then boom, could potentially be gone for the touchdown. And so leveraging that versatility of the young guy, it's going to be awesome because he can't catch, right? I remember us watching him in high school. In one game, he threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and he ran for a touchdown. Yeah. It's like, dude, like what are we doing here, right? Like, that's the best part about getting the number one running back in the country that's seen as a big time athlete, is that he's doing so many versatile things. And so I like the fact that we're looking at leveraging him like that. That's gonna really be impactful for the different sets that Seth Littrell's gonna be able to show, because ain't nobody seen Seth Littrell's offenses in a bit. So it's gonna be difficult for some of these SEC schools to figure out what we're gonna do.
Well, I think it's beneficial because you've got a guy like Sawchuk who's going to get your 15 carries a game, and DeMarco Murray's going to want to play multiple guys. I mean, Murray knows as much as anybody, any running back coach in the country, what it looks like when you get overused. That the Dallas Cowboys did it to him back in the 2014 season. He was never the same again. They gave him 390 something carries. I mean, he had a big year, was offensive player of the year that year, but that workload really took a toll on him physically for the remainder of his career. So you're going to see 2-3 running backs getting opportunities throughout the season. And so I think it's going to be Sawchuk. I think we're going to see a lot of Barnes. And then I think depending on how these first 3 non-conference games go, Kalib Hicks, Taylor Tatum, or a mix between the two of those guys throughout the season. I don't think they're going to concern themselves with, preserving a red shirt for Taylor Tatum. If he can help them win football games, he's going to be out there on the field helping them win football games. They're not going to worry about that. Now, a guy like Xavier Robinson, he might redshirt just because of the depth that you have at running back. You don't have to burn all of the red shirts, and he kind of does a little bit of what Jovantae Barnes does from a physical standpoint. Another interesting quote, this one from Jovantae Barnes about Seth Littrell and his offense. He says, he loves to run the ball. And he mentioned that since day one. As soon as he got the OC job, he's going to run the ball. And ever since fall camp and spring ball started, it's been no doubt that we've been running the ball. And before you jump off and be like, okay, we're going back to the Barry Switzer wishbone days. No, we're not doing that. Jackson Arnold's too good. The wide receiver room is too stinking good to not throw the ball a bunch as well. But I think what this says is you're going to have an opportunity to see a pretty even split, and they're going to look for significant balance in their rushing and passing attack.
I wouldn't mind a flex bone or a wishbone coming back, right? It'd be fun, right? It's funny because I was listening to...
with Michael Hawkins, you could do it.
I mean, hey, you could do it with Jackson Arnold. Like, don't get it twisted. Dude can move, right? He can run an option on that triple option and get you, right? And no, I was listening to Dominique Foxworth from ESPN, and he was talking about playing against his son on College Football 25, right? As you get older and you play your kids, they start to cook you a little bit because you're way more rusty than they are. So he decided to go pick Navy to go up against his son who's playing with Maryland, and he just triple optioned him to death because video games can't figure it out, just like most schools can't actually figure it out whenever you got dudes that are actually of size and strength. I mean, we know the service academies have to have smaller guys just because of requirements for, being in the military, but we get dudes that actually have that size. Hey, man. There's a good chance you can start disrupting things. But no, it's going to be awesome to see in that we're going to run the ball, because there was a lot of situations last season that just about any Sooner fan will say they got tired of us not running the ball and burning some clock, right? Like in some situations, just let the clock run. Don't even try to hurry it up. Run it down their throat, pound, and just let it ride. Because in those situations, you could close out games. Kansas, you could have ended up winning the game you're supposed to win on said road.
Yeah, I think having a little bit more complementary football, just a little bit more understanding of when it's time to take the foot off the gas at different points. Our defense was just on the field for 8-9 plays in 5-6 minutes. Okay, we're going to slow the thing down. We're going to take the tempo down a little bit just to give our defense a bit of a breather. But they've got the dudes to have a really, really good rushing team from the running back perspective. And I think the offensive line is going to come together. That's going to help them have that as well. So I think this is going to be a good running team. We'll see how good they're going to be in the 2024 season.
Y'all know me. I love my sports. As we just talked about the coaches poll, I'm looking at Oklahoma's win total at over 7.5 still here on FanDuel. And I'm going to be honest, man, it's an intriguing one. It's one of those you may need to take advantage of because what's there to lose? Oklahoma has set themselves up to be successful. And so, I mean, like I said, as much as I love my sports, man, I don't want them to stop. Luckily, the Olympics are happening right now, so you have a little bit of something. But with everybody's focus on that and the playoffs have winded down, we're getting fewer games and they're not sporting like the way we want. But FanDuel is going to keep me in the sports going wherever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, dream up whatever bet I want, and boom, make the magic happen. And so this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That is right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long, as summer is starting to come up. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of the last parts of this summer because football is on the way. Get those bets in before football season happens. So FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.